Good day, everyone. I think we can start now. Welcome, welcome to the third webinar in our series on adaptation reporting under the Enhanced Transparency Framework of Paris Agreement. And I would like to thank all of you for this continuing engagement in this important series. And your participation is crucial as we work together to improve our collective understanding of adaptation reporting requirement and all the best practices that we are sharing here. So just to quickly do the recap of the first webinar that we have done on this September 13, where we provided an overview of adaptation reporting under the UNFCCC and also the new BTR, new requirement of the NS Transparency Framework. Yesterday, the second webinar, we go into the first three sections of the MPG, that all this component of the BTR covering national circumstances, legal framework, impact, and adaptation priority. And today we will go in another next three sections where we go in the adaptation component of the BTR, guidance on reporting adaptation action, including strategies, policies, and plan, and how to report progress on implementation and result of the adaptation efforts, insight into the system of monitoring and evaluation adaptation action, and also the exploration of how to integrate the best available science, everything related to the adaptation into the reporting. So, and as you can see in the agenda that we are also excited to have a guest speaker from the Vietnam, deputy head from the ministry, who will share their experience in the adaptation reporting under the existing arrangement, what they have and what are the problems or what is the how they are tackling the reporting of this adaptation. And as always, we encourage your active participation. And anytime if you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask either through a chat box or just unmute your mic. And this is the open webinar kind of discussion, and so don't hesitate. Whatever you want to can share, please share your experience, challenges, whatever you have. And all this uh, webinars are collectively, we are building the capacity to report the adaptation effectively and to better understand the all this progress of the adaptation goal and identify the area where support is needed, specifically according to our national circumstances in our country. So I think we have enough people now, so let's make the most of this session, and I look forward to our discussion today and very insightful discussion together. So with the first session, our expert speaker Slezana is here, and I would request her to start the presentation for the today's first session. Yes, Slezana, please.
Good day to everyone. We are welcome you again to the series of the adaptation webinars. This is the third session. Thank you, Jepal, for this introduction. So I hope that you are all ready to start to go through our next chapters of the adaptation BTR. So I will share my presentation now. I hope that you can see.
Yes, we can see.
Now full screen. Okay, so as Jaypal already said, at today's session, we will talk about sections D, E, and F of the BTR, actually on the planned actions, strategies, and plans, and sections E and F about the results on the monitoring and evaluation process. As from previous presentation, we saw that the guidelines for the sections C and D request actually information about the forward-looking aspects of your country's national adaptation process, specifically information about adaptation priorities and barriers in Section C, and adaptation plans and actions in Section D. In the context of the adaptation reporting, providing this information requested in the sections C and D actually represents the first step in reporting on your adaptation process. And as such, information requested by these sections is key to reporting on what your country is doing to adapt to the adverse effects of climate change it has identified in your section B. So moving to the section D, adaptation strategies, policies, plans, goals and actions to integrate adaptation in national policies and strategies. The main goal of the Section D is to ensure that BTR provide information about the adaptation actions that have been planned or implemented by the reporting country in its efforts to adapt to the climate change. So specifically on how best available science, gender perspectives, indigenous, traditional, and local knowledge are integrated in adaptation, and how adaptation actions were designed and selected. So a bit more about the adaptation actions. The adaptation actions actually refer to the time-limited activities with clear and tangible objectives, for example, adaptation projects and capacity building initiatives. Providing information about individual actions can be utilized by countries in adaptation reporting to achieve other objectives, including to provide the overall flavor of the adaptation actions implemented across different sectors, areas, communities, and providing basic information about the actions like name, title, objectives of the actions, implementation status, and high-level information if available, of course, high-level information about the action outcomes. Also, to demonstrate that certain types of the adaptation are being prioritized, to draw attention to the actions that are deserving recognition, and to share also good practices, experiences, and lessons learned. The main request for countries to report on adaptation actions can be found in bullet point B, which asks for information on 11 different types on adaptation action that countries could be reported on. All that types of the adaptation action are actually relevant to report on. However, bullet point B essentially makes clear that all adaptation actions are relevant to report on. Bullet points E and F and G specifically reference that adaptation actions should be reported if they either have mitigation co-benefits, constitute mainstreaming, qualify as being a nature-based solutions. And this actually could be interpreted as a request to prioritize reporting on actions that meet one or more of these criteria. However, as adaptation reporting is definitely a country-driven exercise, countries should feel free to determine whether they want to do this or not, or to select and choose a way on how to report on this. While guidelines, MPGs, do a good job of identifying the broad range of adaptation actions that countries should report on, relatively little guidance is provided relating to what information countries should actually provide when they report on these actions. The only guidelines provided in this regard is bullet point A, which might be asking countries to include information about how these actions contribute to the global goal on the adaptation. However, if we interpret bullet point A as asking countries to include information about how these actions contribute to the various dimensions of the global goal on the adaptation, countries could meet this request by describing how adaptation actions are expected to enhance adaptive capacity, to strengthen resilience, or to reduce vulnerability to climate change, and expected to contribute to your sustainable development. In other words, it will inform the reader about what impact the actions intended to have. Also, here countries could consider providing further or forward-looking information about the planned actions being reported on, and additional information could include information about the inputs allocated to some actions, for example, planned budget, and also details about its implementation, like who are the implementing actors, beneficiaries, geographic scope, etc., etc. Providing additional information to better describe the adaptation actions that will be included in BTR will help the report's audience to get more in-depth and tangible understanding of the nature and scope of the action being documented. Even though it may not be practical or desirable to do this for every action being reported on, providing additional information may be of very interesting when country wants to gain recognition or draw attention to some particular action, or use the report to share lessons learned, experiences, and good practices. So, in addition to asking countries to report on their adaptation actions, guidelines also ask countries to provide information how these adaptation actions were designed and selected. With regards to the guidelines, Section D actually specifically asks countries to provide information about how best available science, gender perspectives, and indigenous, traditional, and local knowledge have been integrated or considered in process for designing of adaptation actions, how development priorities have been integrated in the process for designing adaptation actions, and how or to what extent stakeholders have been engaged during the adaptation planning process. Information requested by the guidelines only referred to specific principles and good practices in designing and selecting adaptation actions. In this sense, countries may provide information on processes through which adaptation actions have been designed and selected, meaning prioritization processes, that follow the selection of the priority areas for adaptation and the analysis of barriers, and include processes for identifying adaptation options, processes for designing adaptation actions, and for reviewing and appraising those options over the time. The process of designing and selecting adaptation actions is fundamental component of developing adaptation planning documents, including NDCs and NAPs, and it is expected that information about how these processes were conducted, meaning modalities, procedures, actors involved, be found in these planning documents. To see an example of how this information might be included in adaptation planning documents, we can look at Fiji's NAP. In section 6 of their NAP, Fiji provide clear and informative description of how adaptation actions prioritized in their NAP and selected. So this includes information about criteria against which actions were selected and actors, stakeholders involved in this selection process. Further, this section of NAP also provides details about how ecosystem, human rights, and gender-based approaches were considered in the selection process. So obviously, including all the information provided in NAPs and also other planning documents about how adaptation actions were planned and selected within the report, like the BTR, might be a bit overkill. And countries will probably want to find a way of summarizing this information so that the key points can make it into BTR without necessarily taking 4 or more pages, which is actually case in Fiji's NAP. To conclude this section, I would like to provide some reflections on reporting on adaptation actions. Meaning that actually countries can approach reporting on adaptation actions in a number of ways. In that sense, countries can provide full range of adaptation actions undertaken by their government, but in reality, this is a big and possibly impossible task. As logistically ensuring that all adaptation is documented and tracked in central database is difficult. Also, conceptual issues such as what is adaptation and what is development blur the lines about what should and what should not be included in their reports. Further, the task of reporting on adaptation would only grow in size as adaptation process of countries expand over the time. Then it is important that before preparing a report on adaptation actions in BTR, countries ask themselves what actions and types of actions do they want to report on. As said, countries can approach reporting on adaptation actions first to answer the question from the previous slide. Countries can approach to answering this question like to considering what a country want to achieve through reporting on adaptation action, what will reporting on certain actions or types of actions will achieve for their country, and how much information and what information do countries need to provide to achieve its objectives. So, as said, countries can approach reporting on adaptation actions in wide variety of ways, and actually there are no wrong approaches that tackling this issue for adaptation. So, over the next slides, I will show two general approaches taken by countries in their national communication. The first one is the broad approach, where countries reporting a wide range of the actions across sectors, priority areas, regulations, and jurisdictions. And the second one is a more dynamic approach, where countries focusing reporting on specific areas. So the first example is Australia's seventh national communication that represents a good example of a broad approach. This report provides clear information on a wide range of adaptation policies and actions across key sectors at both national and state levels. This approach gives the audience a real flavor of what Australia is doing to facilitate adaptation across its subnational regions and sectors. Providing all this information about wide range of the actions being implemented may make clear that adaptation is being integrated in policies and decision-making processes, at least at the national and the state level. Further, while not all actions are described in enough detail to understand their goals and scope, the report makes good use of the hyperlinks to link readers to the external web pages of the initiatives, allowing interested parties, domestic or international stakeholders, to find out more if they wish so. Another nice feature of this national communication is that it makes excellent use of case studies. And Australia uses these as a means of sharing more detailed information about specific adaptation actions that Australia wants to showcase. This can be used to good effect when countries want to use reports for sharing good practices, experiences, and lessons learned. So an example, next example, is example of a different approach, which is based on South Korea's fourth national communication. So in its national communication, South Korea limits its reporting to key national policy and planning instruments that established to lay the foundation for further adaptation action. In practice, this means it has been reported on the establishment of its legal framework that mandates national and local governments to plan and implement adaptation measures. Its three main adaptation strategies, plans at national level, and its program for monitoring and assessing climate risks at national level. In doing this, South Korea's national communication provides its audience with an overview of the approach adopted by these strategies and plans and their high-level objectives, and with information how these plans have been built upon the experience on the previous adaptation planning cycle. What actually South Korea's approach doesn't do, however, is to provide any information about the content of these plans. For example, there is limited information about the sector-specific targets or actions contained within these plans. So as such, the audience does not really get the flavor of what is going on ground in the country. Another interesting dynamic approach to reporting can be seen in the Republic of the Marshall Islands adaptation communication. In this adaptation communication from 2020, the Marshall Islands does not really report on any adaptation actions being implemented on ground. Instead, this document focuses almost entirely on reporting on ongoing processes to establish institutional, legal, and policy framework suitable for coordinating adaptation action. On this way, this adaptation communication describes the approach considered to establish adequate institutional arrangements for coordinating adaptation. Described step-by-step approach to prepare the NAP include information about stakeholder participation and consultation, integration of the gender perspectives and human rights principles, and how the NAP will be aligned with existing development policies and their priorities and objectives. It also includes information about the limitations and failings and learnings from previous attempts to coordinate climate actions. And all information, additionally, information about how the country intends to shift from their present focus on short, medium-term adaptation planning to more strategic and long-term adaptation planning. So, to summarize these conclusions, in taking the broad approach, as we see is in Australia's examples, countries are better able to demonstrate that they are making progress in priority areas, including in planning, implementing adaptation on ground, highlight sectoral actions the country has planned and that require international support to implement, and share success stories, achievements, good practices, experiences, lessons learned about their adaptation. In taking more dynamic approach, however, countries are less able to provide this flavor of what adaptation is being implemented on ground, and the benefits of their more dynamic approach, however, is that readers can get a very clear idea of what the country is doing to facilitate adaptation on strategic level in the medium to long term, and good idea where the country is presently in this process. The guidelines for the sections E and F request information about the backward-looking aspects of your country's national adaptation process, specifically information about progress being made in implementing adaptation in section E, and results of monitoring and an evaluation process applied to adaptation actions, which is consisted in section F. So let's focus on section E. The main goal of the section E is to ensure that BTR include up-to-date information about the status of the adaptation actions that are being reported in their document. For example, actions reported in response to the section D. In addition to this, section E also gives developing countries opportunity to report on effectiveness of adaptation actions that have been supported with international support. The request for information on progress on implementation is covered by the 5 bullet points in paragraph 110, and specifically information about the implementation of adaptation actions that are identified in section D of the guidelines. Then sorry, just a second, my screen was frozen. So implementation of the actions identified in Chapter 4D, Section D above, then implementation of the national adaptation plans and policies, implementation of adaptation actions that are identified in the past adaptation communication, implementation of adaptation actions that are identified in the adaptation component of the NDC, and implementation of adaptation actions that could be categorized as establishing institutional arrangements, establishing new legislation or regulation, or mainstreaming climate change in existing policies and legal instruments. Again, just to rephrase, bullet point provided by Section E should be interpreted to mean that reporting on progress on implementation is relevant to all forms of adaptation action. However, countries should note that requests for actions identified in current and past adaptation communications and identified in adaptation sections of the NDC insinuates that countries should follow up on progress made or not made, maybe, towards implementing actions that have been planned in previous communications to the UNFCCC. This could include when actions are conditional on the support. In addition, for adaptation programs, strategies, or policy frameworks, bullet point B asks countries to provide information about the steps that have been taken to formulate, implement, publish, and update them, with the specific reference actually to National Adaptation Plan in bullet point B may be a hint that NAPs might be considered as a primary target of this request. To meet these requests, authors and countries could aim to provide a description of entire process of formulating, executing, and updating the relevant action. For NAP or for similar adaptation program, this would involve describing its preliminary phases, like laying the groundwork for and addressing gaps towards establishing the program, all the way through the phases which constitute the end of the cycle, like evaluating of the results or updating the program. This clearly indicate that the implementation status of the actions countries will probably need to provide processes and output indicators. In selecting these indicators, countries could choose to use indicators that are specific to the adaptation actions being reported on, the indicators that could describe the milestones reached by the actions, like 6 kilometers of seawall constructed or adaptation relevant law drafted, etc., etc. And outputs also that has been delivered, like seawall fully constructed or adaptation relevant law enhanced. Also, countries could use more simple descriptive categories such as just begun, early phase of implementation, advanced phase, delayed, or cancelled. This example you can see in the figure on the right side of the slide, showing the status of the policies and proposals in the Scottish Climate Change Adaptation Programme. Just to note that this type of the presentation of the implementation only really works and can be applied when reporting on processes in implementing plans and strategies. So moving on the other request covered by Section E, which asks developing countries to provide information about effectiveness of international support provided for the adaptation. Specifically on this, the paragraph 111 of the MPGs asks developing countries to report the implementation of adaptation actions that are being or have been implemented by using international support, and to provide information about how effective these actions been in addressing countries' climate changes. As such, this aspect of the paragraph 111 is asking for information about results and successes of internationally supported actions and how these results and achievements compare to the actions' initial objectives. Also, in addition to providing information about the effectiveness in paragraph 111, developing countries could also use information about internationally supported adaptation and its effectiveness as a basis for additional comments concerning the adequacy of the international support they received for the adaptation in relation to their specific vulnerabilities and adaptation needs. In other words, you could report on whether you consider the support being provided to be enough given the size of the climate changes your country is facing. In fact, doing this would be a sort of allowed by the section F in paragraph 113, D and EE, which states that parties should provide information about how support programs meet specific vulnerabilities and adaptation needs. And in this case, the term vulnerabilities and adaptation needs would refer to specific challenges and needs identified by developing countries within their adaptation communication and their NDCs. Moving to section F, the main purpose of the guidelines in the section F is to ensure that countries provide information about the results of the adaptation, specifically results of adaptation that are calculated by monitoring and evaluation process. In addition to this, the guidelines are also asking countries to include information about how these results were determined and to be transparent about where this information comes from. The first section is on results of the adaptation. Guidelines relating to results of adaptation are found dispersed across the paragraphs 113 and 114 of this section. And as can be seen on the right, the guidelines make a number of requests for information from broad and generic to quite specific requests, and one can divide them in four broad groups. First one, those that request information about the results of adaptation actions. Next, requests about information on evaluation of the success of adaptation actions and processes. Then those that request specific information relating to the evaluation of adaptation that are important in the context of the COP, UNFCCC, and the Paris Agreement. And fourth, those that request information about good practices, lessons learned about adaptation through monitoring and evaluation process. So starting with the request about adaptation results. So this information would ideally include quantitative indicators to complement qualitative data and descriptions. However, in many cases, the metrics through which such qualifications can be conducted will be unclear, will be context specific, or will only provide a proxy measure for the ultimate intended impact. For example, increased resilience, reduced vulnerability, enhanced adaptation capacity. In that case, purely qualitative descriptions of outcomes and impacts may be sufficient as information that you can provide, like reduced vulnerability, enhanced adaptive capacities, etc. Regardless of approach that you take to present results, meaning quantitative or qualitative descriptions, countries should make efforts to ensure that any results presented are followed with baseline data in order to ensure that the audience is able to measure the significance of the results being presented. Building on this, the guidelines also ask countries to provide further evaluation of the adaptation results to determine how successful adaptation actions have been, and more specifically ask for assessment of effectiveness and sustainability, which the terms that can be defined like effectiveness is the extent to which adaptation action or process has achieved its predefined objectives or targets. Adequacy is a term that explains the extent to which adaptation is sufficient to meet specific vulnerabilities and adaptation needs. And sustainability is actually the ability of an action or intervention to continue to achieve its desired outcomes and impacts. Information on adequacy and effectiveness are crucial for understanding if progress in adaptation is being made, and they can be assessed by using mixture of input processes, output and outcome indicators being monitored, and additional evaluation processes, for example, stakeholders consultation, experts reviews, etc. Sorry. As these assessments require significant time and resources to implement, for most countries, it seems likely that majority of information pardon, regarding to the effectiveness, adequacy, or sustainability of adaptation will be limited to flagship adaptation actions, for example, NAPs, for which monitoring and evaluation systems are increasingly being developed by the countries. That if they are evaluated at all and where this information is available, it will likely be generated through mid-implementation and post-implementation reviews designed to inform changes to adaptation policy, strategy, and plan that is in question. Section F also asks countries to provide information relating to specific questions that correspond to decision. The first request is in the 113, and it asks how support programs meet specific vulnerabilities and adaptation needs, which relates to the adequacy of support provided, which have been already covered in relation to similar guidelines in section E. The second and the final request of the section F also asks for information relating to specific questions that are embedded in Paris Agreement, and these are how adaptation actions influence other development goals of the country. This request is asking for information about if adaptation is contributing to realization of national development goals. Evaluating this would likely involve using development indicators and, if possible, future evaluation to evaluate what effect adaptation is having on your country's key development goals. The next request covered by section E asks country to provide information about how these results were determined, which it does by asking countries to provide information about the approaches and systems used and their outputs, assessment of indicators for how adaptation increased resilience and reduced impacts, when adaptation is not sufficient to reduce impacts, how effective implemented adaptation measures are, and to report on any domestic monitoring and evaluation systems countries are currently using or developing to monitoring and evaluate adaptation action. Basically, this as a request to include comprehensive information about countries' domestic M&E systems and to be transparent about where information come from and how indicators for abstract concepts such as vulnerability and effectiveness were measured or evaluated. An information description of a country's M&E system, for example, could summarize the aims of country's M&E system, objectives and policy context, its approach and its legal basis, and its outputs and any limitations associated with its outputs. Importantly, also to mention, for countries that are in process of establishing a national system for monitoring and evaluation adaptation, but have not yet reached a satisfactory level of the system, or it's not functional, they could provide a description of what has been done so far to develop this system and what is still to be done. Also, to adequately provide the information necessary to achieve this, countries could provide descriptions of indicators used to monitor results of the adaptation, assessment methodologies used to determine what these mean for effectiveness, adequacy, resilience, vulnerability, etc. Then how indicators and assessment methodologies were designed, and any assumptions upon which the indicators and assessment methodologies are based, and the limitations associated with these assumptions. All of these cases, providing this information in adaptation BTR itself, could end up becoming long and very extensive. For that reason, countries should consider utilizing cross-reference, ideally by using hyperlinks, in order to provide a report's audience with access to this information without needing to include it in adaptation BTR on the extensive way. So this can be feasible in the practice only if the linked documents are online and publicly available, and if available in the same language as your BTR. So to conclude this presentation, I would like to provide some final reflections on reporting on the implementation and results of the adaptation. It is important to say that extent to which countries can include information about progress of implementation and adaptation results in their BTRs will ultimately depend on the presence and capacities of the monitoring and evaluation systems to track actions implementation and to generate information about the results. As such, there should be a general conclusion that countries can only report against the guidelines presented here to the extent which their capabilities and capacities allow. In reality, actually, this means that in short term, periodic reporting on results via adaptation BTRs is likely to be light on the grounds, as many countries are yet to fully operationalize or even start developing M&E systems for adaptation. Also, periodic reporting on the more methodologically complex aspects of the guidelines might be even further away than, for example, simply reporting on changes in outcome and impact indicators observed. In any case, this could hopefully improve as countries get better and improve their monitoring and evaluation systems for their adaptation. So this was my last slide. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will stop now. If you have any questions, please feel free really to ask or discuss situation in regards of reporting or information that you will have about the planned actions, strategies, plans, or results of your adaptation processes. Jaypal, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lejana, for the very detailed information regarding the adaptation, M&E, and reporting and everything. So, as Lejana mentioned, we are happy to answer. If you have any question, any comment, any suggestion, please feel free to unmute your mic and share your perspective, suggestion, whatever you want to do, or if you have any doubt, question, clarification. Also, I have shared the PPTs of the last two webinars through email, but if you have not received, then please share your email ID in the chat box. So I will include you in the circulation list.
If I may just add or ask countries, it would be really interesting to hear your status when it comes to information about planned actions and results of your adaptation processes and development of your M&E systems. Since in communicating with many countries, I can see that developing countries are struggling with the establishment of their M&E systems, which are more or less not functional in vast majority of the countries and cases. So it would be interesting to hear what your countries are doing in this regard. Are they, do you developing such a systems, and what are your experiences in that regard that you can share with us and also with your other countries?
So in the agenda, we have a small Mentimeter, but we have made some modification. Uh, our guest speaker from the Vietnam has already joined, and he has to join another meeting. So first we will hear from the experience of the Vietnam, and then we will do the small Mentimeter through a question and answer to know your what do you think about this. And we have some small three question where we ask about everything regarding the adaptation. So I think we don't have any questions. So I will invite Dr. Trung Tang from the Adaptation Division of the Department of Climate Change. He is working in the adaptation under the Environment Ministry, and he has a lots of expertise and versatile experience in this adaptation. So I would like to thank him for joining even a short time to take the, time and share your experience with this all Asian countries. So we are happy to, and we are really appreciate your time, and thank you so much. And I would like to hand over the floor to you to please share experience of the Vietnam to the all this participant. Yes, Mr. Dr. Tang. Thank you. Thank you for
Yes.
joining, please.
Thank you, J. Paul. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So, thank you. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to share our experience in Vietnam today. In Within the next few minutes, allow me to introduce first of all our NAV and secondly our NME system. So first for the NAV is the context and the requirement of why we will need the M&E system. So for the case of Vietnam in 2019, we published our first NAV. This NAV include around 156 main activity of six sector, which include agricultural, natural disaster prevention, environment, water management, infrastructure, and other related sectors such as labor and tourism. This NAV is divided into two phases. The first phase from 2021 to 2025, which will focus on the preparation of legal framework and integration of climate change issue into national plan strategy. And then for the second phase from 2026 to 2050, we will try to enhance the implementation of adaptation activity with a periodic evaluation to enhance the resilience of infrastructure system, the adaptive capacity of natural ecosystem, and biodiversity. So with that, and according to the law, after every 2 year of implementation, we will have to make a judgment to this NAV, and in order to have the data to and suggestion of adjustment, or we will need something to monitor, to track our progress, and then evaluate it. So for that, is a requirement for us to develop the MME system. So in the same year of 2019, the government also adopted our M&E system, which established and operate a national monitoring and evaluation system for climate change adaptation activity. This system aimed to provide a basis for managing, coordinating, and improving the effectiveness of climate change adaptation activity, and state management of climate change. Within the system, we consult with other ministry and expert to come up with around 150 quantitative indicator, so that every year around December, ministry and province will use this indicator to report to our ministry to make a summary report. In order to assist this the reporting system, we also develop an online system for other ministry and province to use. First of all, is we'll make a quick reporting process, and then it's also allow other stakeholders to access data related to adaptation, and then create a communication channel with related entity. We are currently at the final phase of finalizing this online system, and hopefully it will start operating this month. And with the data come back, when the data come back, we expect that we can be able to analyze and then make necessary proposal to the government that any adjustment need to make for the NAP or other plan and strategy if needed. We can, over the period of I think it's around 4 to 5 years, we can see the strength and weakness that the plan and strategies being implemented that have, and hopefully can make a judgment to it. And last but not least, over the last 4 years of implementation, the M&E system, we see a couple of barriers for developing country. First of all, is the first problem I think a lot of countries will face is that the human resource, as climate change is a cross-sector issue. It requires staff and officials from multiple government agencies. And what we have is that for many ministry and province, the staff are not specialized. There's usually somebody from another division, another department that help with climate change. So most cases are not familiar with in-depth climate change issue, and that would take a lot of time and resource to build up the capacity, catch up to speed. The second problem that we face is that for Vietnam, we're having an overlapping issue with report. We have many reports that have a climate change topic within it, and then each report have different components, so it will consume a lot. Unless we have like one format type report, then it would take a lot of time for the staff at ministry and province to be able to sort out the data and then collect it and then fit every data at the end of the year. So right now for climate change, for Vietnam, we're looking at 3 to 5 report every year. So it's time consuming, and hopefully in the future, this report can be one format and save time. All right. So that's the two main barrier that we face over the 4 years of implementation of the M&E system. All right. And so that will be my part. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tang, and we are happy to hear the experience of the Vietnam in the adaptation reporting. So, participants, if you have any question, you can quickly ask him anything if you want to know about the Vietnam process in the adaptation, or maybe our Slejana, if you have anything to say or ask anything.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Dr. Trang. Thank you very much for this sharing your experience about your M&E system. I see from your presentation it's advanced comparing to the other countries, and it's functional, and you expect actually to have an online system launched this month, which is really for I congratulate you on that, since many countries are not in that stage of development of their M&E. So after 4 years of the implementation of the M&E system, you mentioned some gaps. First, I will mention the issue or maybe some suggestion on the overlapping of different reports on climate change that you are struggling actually with. So with the recent experience from South Korea that we had opportunity to hear in Bangkok a few days ago, they've actually prepared a timetable with different timelines, reporting timelines for different climate change reports. And in that sense, in that specific very like table or image, they made a great visualization of all deadlines for the climate change reports. And then actually they combine when the deadlines or for certain reports are overlapping or are near to each other. So you can, of course, use that opportunity also for your report, specifically for UNFCCC and Paris Agreement. What I would like to ask you, since you have already a very good experience in implementing your M&E system, I would like to ask you about the data flows and responsibilities of different actors in providing information when it comes to your monitoring and evaluation period. As I can recall, you stated that after every 2 years, you evaluate progress on your adaptation. So how it works? Do you have any issues or problems with that?
Yes. So first of all, thank you for the suggestion related to report. We will definitely take that into consideration. Secondly, for the M&E system, so we get report from different ministry and province. Since we have 63 province, and that is where most of the adaptation activity being implemented. So at the end of the year in December, they will send us a report of province and ministry. And at this point, what we have after 4 years, that when we say we come up with 100 and around 150 indicator, which was in consulting with ministry and expert. But then after 4 years, we see that some of the indicator when it is useful for the evaluation, but to collect the data is costly for the province, and to have 63 provinces to do that at the same time is costly, and some of them don't have the fund. So we understand that sometimes the indicator maybe is really good, but we have to choose some other indirect indicator which is cheaper and maybe already available. So I think after 4 years, what we are looking at is that we have to make a judgment to our indicator to make it the reporting process is, first of all, had to be quick. Secondly, it have to be effective and cheap. So for the province, when is climate change is a big issue, but for a lot, I think for a lot of province and ministry, the funding for climate change is not enough at this moment. So we have to make it work somehow, to make it easier to access already available data. So it could impact our evaluation, but at least is we heading some in a better direction.
Thank you very much. So, as I understand, you have some legal base, which means that your provinces or institutions are obliged to report every 2 years. So that's really, really great achievement. in the regards of your indicators, we recently had an exchange of the experience with the Finland, which is one of the most advanced countries when it comes to monitoring and evaluation systems, and also they went through different stages of development of that system. And at the end, now it's functional, but they have developed criteria for selection of the indicators. And so obviously they struggled with the same issues as you are struggled now. So then they made criteria for selection indicators, and one of the criteria is availability of data. So I can share also the full list of criteria for selection of the indicators, and maybe it can be useful for your future process of development of the indicators. Also, what I noted here, if I heard well, you said that you have like 150 quantitative indicators. Do you have some qualitative indicators also?
Yes, we do have some, but at this what we aim at this in the beginning, that we really want to have quantitative indicator, so it will be easier for the evaluation process. But yes, we do have qualitative indicator.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your
Yes.
very good extensive presentation. Great information for our country, actually great example of functional M&E system, which is really missing in many developing countries. So thank you very much. And then I would ask once again if someone from participants also have a question for you. Please unmute your microphone and ask, since we still have a representative of the Vietnam here with us. So if not, I would like to thank you very much for sharing your experience, and good luck with all improvements of your monitoring and evaluation system. So over to you, Jepal.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Tang, for the time and the effort that you have dedicated for to delivering this speech regarding our third webinar. Your contribution is definitely enrich our third webinar and help the participant to understand what Vietnam is doing in terms of the adaptation and the M&D. Thank you so much. I understand you have already another meeting, so thank you so much for taking the time out.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to share today. And sorry, since I have another meeting, so I couldn't stay longer. But thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yes.
So participant, if you still have anything to ask from the first presentation of the Miss Lejana, or anything regarding M&D or anything, please don't hesitate to ask, or just drop in the chat box, or whatever way you feel confident or convenient. I see someone has unmuted the mic, I think. Yes, Mr. Dr. Khair, are you want to? Yes, Miss Jagruti, do you want to speak? Okay, I think it may be due to mistake. So we have a now small Mentimeter exercise. We would like to know your feedback through some small questions. This is not like the yesterday's true and false, but different way to we would like to know the feedback in just small keywords or small sentences. So I am sharing the link of Mentimeter in the chat box, and I will also share the QR code through share screen. I would request all of you to please join this. And this is the self-paced, so those who have joined, please, you can continue to answer all the question. You can click the link in the chat box or please scan this QR code on the screen. Let me put the first question on the screen so we can continue. I have received already 8, 9, 10 response. So for all other people, please click the link in the chat. You will directly access this Mentimeter. So first question is about would your country prioritize reporting on certain type of adaptation, like nature-based solution adaptation with mitigation co-benefits? Yes or no? If most of the answer is the yes, so the second question is if yes, then which type of adaptation would be prioritized in your country, maybe for the upcoming report, BTR or national communication? Okay, nature base, restoring forest and climate smart agriculture. Okay, we have some forest people are saying about mangrove restoration, wetland restoration, rainwater harvesting. Okay, community-led adaptation, nature base. Okay. Okay, disaster management. Yes, water. Adaptation related to the mitigation. Focus should be on coastal areas. Okay. Agriculture, livestock, ecosystem, and renewable energy. Participant from Sri Lanka, they are saying about implementing nature-based solution like mangrove restoration and reforestation to address climate impact and while also promoting biodiversity. Yes. Those who have a longer coastline or the sea area, yes, they have a good option of this. Those countries who are rich in biodiversity or vulnerable to extreme weather event prioritize nature-based solution. This include action like reforestation, wetland. Okay. So I think nature-based is the common for the most of the countries, those who are reporting adaptation and with priority. So our second question is the have you have the adaptation consideration been mainstream into any of your country's national development strategies? Some countries has LTLEDS, some countries has net zero plans, some country has decarbonization plan, NAP or any adaptation specific uh, missions or program or policy that country has took. So we got around 11, 12 response and most of them saying yes, all of them. So similar to the last question, we would like to also know that if the answer is yes, then please inform. In which? So natural base, state base, okay. Philippines develop plan, okay, and national climate change action plan, okay. National action plan on climate change, okay. So the others kind of actions or measures that country are doing, adaptation is also the part of that program. NDC is also, that's a good thing. 5-year plan, okay, water management, NDC, adaptation plan. Okay, national development strategy aligned with NAP and NDC. Okay, so yeah, this is the important part under the ETF that now each all this kind of policy document missions, whatever that we have declared, the content should be linked to each other because now in the BTR also the all the inventory data flowing to NDC, NDC data flowing through adaptation. So yeah, this is important. SDGs, yes. Adaptation link to the goal 13, 6, 11. Okay. Okay. Missions focus on mitigation, adaptation, both agriculture and food security plan. Okay. Yeah, these are the important and adaptation play most important role in that. Disaster risk management. Okay. Yeah, reduce vulnerability. Because okay, Sri Lanka also has a national climate change adaptation strategy for Sri Lanka. Okay, specific plan for the. Mm. Okay, the last question is the which adaptation actions are most often implemented by your country? State to most common. You can say action or the policy or major or whatever you say, mission or something. But anything that you have done in your country, just a name, we would like to know. Soil and water conservation, resource management, okay. Wetland restoration, mangrove restoration, nature-based solution, flood risk reduction. Anything else? Community-based forest restoration. Yeah, this is the one of the initiative. Disaster risk reduction. Okay. Sustainable agriculture practices. Yeah, those countries have a higher methane and NO2 emission. This could be a very effective. The most common in Sri Lanka, the most common climate adaptation action implemented focus on NBS. Okay, natural way. Okay, nature base. Efficient irrigation system. Okay. And in the last, I would also like to know the feedback about the our uh, considering the today's also. So last considering the three webinars, we would also like to know the are you satisfied with the content and everything? Then please let us know, which is also help us to improve. We still have two more webinars. I would request all of you to please share your feedback with us. This is also the part of our reporting. So Please share your feedback, whatever is the honest feedback you can share with us. And until we receive the feedback from the participant in the now the next activity in today's webinar, we have still open for the question and answer, but we also have some guiding question. So we have prepared the two guiding questions that we can discuss today. So after this, I will move to sharing one slide which has the two questions that we can discuss today. If anyone has anything to share on these two questions, then we are happy to discuss. We are happy to listen from your country experience also on that point. Okay, so the link is already active. So if you have not able to done then please complete the at least the give the your feedback regarding these webinars. So I will stop sharing this and I am open the floor again for anything, any suggestion, but I will also share the screen of the two guiding questions that we would like to discuss today in today's webinar. Yes, so our two questions are already on screen, and the first question is where can the information required to report on the adaptation actions, progress, and the result of the adaptation monitoring and evaluation can be sourced from. So different countries has a different source available, different kind of database available. Some countries has a very good data available of the past also, and they are also regularly or periodically collecting the data related to that. In some country now started, we can understand that. So I think what I understand from this for the first question that where can we collect the information regarding the all this adaptation action policy measures progress, whatever we would like to report in the BTR. I think the first document will be a national adaptation plan. If country has already prepared national adaptation plan, then this will be a best book or best source where we can get everything. I think we can also include the NDC, nationally determined contribution, because some of the country, as mentioned in the feedback, also has a specific component related to the adaptation. So we would like to, we can easily get the information of the actions and goal. And now in the BTR, we are reporting the progress of this all NDC. So if we have adaptation component in the NDC, then in the first BTR, you will be able to see that how country is progressing in terms of NDC goals, which are related to the adaptation. Of course, another is the national communication. We are all the developing country reporting national communication every 4 years. So this could be also the source for to collect the actions and vulnerability, because in the national communication we are also reporting one chapters which is specifically to the IVA impact vulnerability adaptation part. All the developing countries are doing this. Uh, what are the other? Then other could be some sectorial plan and the strategies. Maybe some country has agriculture adaptation plan or some coastal management or forest related. This could be also the source of the data. Local or regional or state or province level, any kind of initiative will be also the become a source. Any kind of scientific data on the kind of projects that are academic and research institute, university people are doing. This could be also the source for the government people, those who are preparing the report. Also, National Statistic Office, I think these are the common for the all the country, but maybe they are collecting a detail or some relevant data related to the adaptation. This could be also the source. Line ministry is, of course, the all the different ministry can also provide data, and some international database are also available, I think, regarding the, at least for the disaster, and the UNFCCC adaptation knowledge portal also is a good that you can find some data on that. And of course, if you have MND system in your country, then definitely you will get all this systematic data, everything periodically, quarterly or half yearly. So I think this is the my kind of in the suggestion for the first question, that this could be the source of the data that you can get. And of course, after compiling all the data, you will be in a better situation that what could be included in the and what data that you can prefer to take. But if there is anything from the any participant that could be a special situation in your country, please share with the other all the participant. Anyone has any suggestion, comment? Slejana, anything from your side for first question?
Yes, of course. Among all that you have already mentioned, like current reports like national communications, NAPS, NDCs, adaptation communication. Also, you mentioned your Office of Statistic and scientific papers that you maybe have in your country. I would like also to say that good source or potential source of information for adaptation actions or progress of adaptation in your country can be also the media reports that are published. Usually, when certain projects finish, that's published through the media to inform broader stakeholders about certain interventions, and you can also use these as an information source about progress of your adaptation. But also here it's important to mention that all is easy, I would say, or much easier when you have established your monitoring and evaluation system, and it's functional, and you have developed developed your indicators, quantitative, qualitative, etc. So then you have a system for tracking this information and to provide outputs, outcomes, and outputs of your adaptation process. So in the case that you still don't have functional M&E system, any information about results of your adaptation that you have gathered on ad hoc basis can serve as a good information for this section of the adaptation BTR. So do not hesitate to add any information of already implemented actions, develop strategies, level of their implementation, or mainstreaming your adaptation in sectoral plans, strategies, etc. So don't hesitate to report that any based on any information that you have available. So that would be my comment on this.
Thank you so much, Slejana. So if any participants have anything to share for the first question. We have a mixed people of, I think, most of the country. I can see Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Philippines, Nepal, Bhutan. anyone has anything to say, then please don't hesitate to uh, ask through a. You can also use the chat box. So the second question is about the what are the common challenges. Actually, this question has a two part. One is that what are the common challenges countries are you are facing in M&E monitoring and evaluation of the adaptation process. And the second part is what could be the possible solution to overcome these challenges. Uh, what are the things that are working, not working in your country? If anything that you can say, maybe even one part that what are the challenges that you are facing in monitoring and evaluation, then maybe we can discuss the possible solution for that. I think from I am a not adaptation expert, but what I think that is first is to like what we are doing in the inventory and the NDC that the base year that how and when it is started. So it is difficult to determine the starting point from which you can measure the progress. And I think adaptation is the longest history. So you can't say that it started from 2005 or 2010 or 2000. So I think this could be a common challenge for the all the countries. And also the impact that what are the if we see the long-term nature of the adaptation that impact most of the time only visible over the extended period, but I think making a short-term evaluation that could be a challenging that maybe we are doing mistake in that, but yeah, this could be a challenge for the countries. And also to when adaptation is mixed with the others mitigation or cross cutting, it is also difficult to change specifically that to other how to attribution that observed change is due to adaptation or mitigation or anything specific related to. And as Lejana cover in their presentation, I also feel that there is a missing of universally accepted matrices kind of for measuring the adaptation success that if you like we are tracking the all the mitigation policy, if we are tracking the adaptation that maybe we have to need to track that indicator on we need something to track that. So maybe a data gap could be a challenges for the some because of some missing data specifically in least island country, small island developed country and least developed countries. So, and of course, technical expertise could be the one of the reason. This could be also the challenges. That's why we have also organized this series of webinar to inform every one of you and to keep you aware and to build the capacities so you can also best way to use the effectively resource the all resources and do the best kind of M&E for your country. So I think this could be the challenges. So I would now request any one of you if you can give me a solution for that or anything that in your country if you are doing something to tackle these issues. Otherwise, we already have Slejana to answer the all the solutions. So, but I would like to hear from all of you. If anyone has anything, just please share.
Maybe I can add here about monitoring and evaluation. What is important before you start your process of monitoring and evaluation, you have to have defined your adaptation goal. So then you measure progress towards your established adaptation goal. That's really important because you have to know while measuring your are your actions and measures are adequate in order to achieve your adaptation goal, and you have to be able to measure by quantitative or qualitative indicators on which point you are currently in reaching your adaptation goal. Here, adaptation goal can be considered as a national, or you can have also sectoral adaptation goals, etc., etc. But be aware that your monitoring and evaluation of the progress needs to go towards your achievement of your adaptation goal. Also, about the challenges countries face in monitoring and evaluation of the adaptation process, I would say that many of the challenges countries facing with are related with their a lack of institutional and legal arrangements for your monitoring and evaluation system, and in pardon, and in general, also huge turnover of the people in the institutions, so like lack of human capacities or experts in your institutions devoted to these issues, so that always you have or in most of the countries you always have a new people, or you lack people that are involved in the processes, generally processes of the transparency reporting, but specifically and very important for processes of monitoring and evaluation of your adaptation, but also that is related to your mitigation actions. That I see that many countries are really in this moment are not able to track. But that doesn't mean that they cannot improve over time and step by step achieve or develop functional systems to track their progress, whether in adaptation or in mitigation. So I'll stop here, and really it would be good to share some of challenges that your countries are facing with. So please, you can unmute and your microphones, and really feel free to discuss this with us.
So I think institutional management play a very good big role in the everything, not only adaptation, but all the part of the BTR like inventory, NDC, adaptation, everything. So I think it is better to prepare kind of framework that will help you in the longer term, not only for the short term. And simultaneously, you can also build the capacity of the all the national and local level people, those who are involved in this exercise. Maybe Sledan, I
Okay.
would also like to ask about one question is that how is the technology will be important into uh, overcoming this all challenges like GIS, remote sensing, and everything that collecting the data. So how this could be important in the helpful specifically in the reporting the adaptation.
Yeah, thank you, Jaypal, for this question. Yeah, it can be very important, but countries need to be aware to think about the content of the information that they need to assess their adaptation progress. So do not overwhelm with the information, with the indicators, and too much spread out over your sectors, since then you will be lost under all these details. And these systems can be very, very useful, and in the terms of the tracking of your adaptation. I see that some countries also implemented electronic systems for monitoring and evaluation of your indicators. Some of them are functional, some of them are not, but it's important to establish or consider preconditions or institutional and legal frameworks in order to make these systems functional and useful for assessing your adaptation process. So yes, of course, you should use it as much as it is possible, but also, some countries do not have resources to fund that systems, which are expensive. They do not capacities to implement or establish such a systems, etc., etc. This is that's actually not must, and you always have alternative in a way that you are usually doing, and that you usually establish, like data flows, etc., etc., by using common tools, like communicating by email, also by fax. I know that some countries are still using that ways of communicating, data flows, etc., etc. As I stressed for several times, the most important issue is to have well established your institutional and legal preconditions to track your adaptation process and other climate change processes in your country.
Yep.
So yes. I really expected some questions from the countries, but also I must say that I understand because our presentations are very detailed and at some extent very long. But please do not mind on that, because we wanted to provide you content which is detailed and that can serve further as like short guidance for development of your adaptation reporting within the BTR. As Jaypal already mentioned, all our presentations will be available at our climate transparency platform, so you can use that as a reference for development of your adaptation part of the BTR. And I already have information that some countries that we already had this webinar series with Euro-Asia, with Central Asia, with Anglophone-speaking Africa countries, etc., that are using this presentation as a short guideline for preparation of their BTR. So yes, thank you very much for your patience, and really I hope that you will use these presentations, and that's why our the presentations are a bit detailed. So I would like to thank you all for your patience. Over to you, Japal.
Yeah, and I would like to thank to you especially to remain present for the all the last three webinar, and we would happy to that you are still here with the next two webinars also. So as we come to the close of our third webinar in this series of the adaptation reporting under the ETF of the Paris Agreement, I want to express my sincere gratitude from me and my team, this Lejana and everything, that for your participation throughout this session. And today we have learned everything. There is something about the adaptation action, including strategy, policy plan, goals, also on the implementation and result of adaptation effort, system for M&E, monitoring, evaluation, adaptation action, and the process, and how the best available science, that knowledge into adaptation reporting. So as we conclude this, I would also like to remind you of the our upcoming webinars. So the fourth webinar is on the October 11th, day after tomorrow, where we are focusing on the reporting loss and damage, cooperation, and the good practices. And our fifth webinar, the last one, is on October 15th. So there, where we have invited also the developed and developing countries. So Japan has already confirmed to share their experience about adaptation reporting. So we will learn how the developed country is doing that. So this will two next webinar is very important. So I encourage all of you to attend this remaining session, and this is not like that build upon the knowledge that we have shared today, but also offer valuable opportunity to peer learning and the experience sharing in the upcoming series. So the goal of this webinar is not like to preparing the adaptation chapter for the 2024 BTR, but we are targeting to enhance our collective capacity to report the adaptation effectively in longer term, ultimately contributing to the better understanding of the global progress toward the adaptation reporting, and also the identifying the area where support is needed. So we are happy to cover them. We are available to support you. So if you have any question uh, or any clarification or any topic you have, and please share, you can write email to us. Don't hesitate to reach. And with this, I would like to conclude this today's webinar, and I would like to also thanks again to the Slezana for the very interactive talk, presentation, content, everything. So thank you so much, and we will close today's meeting within time.
Thank you very much to all of
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Have a great day and see you on Friday. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.